Eevee has always been a fan favorite in the Pokemon world. You can ask any Pokemon fan who their favorite Eeveelution is and they won't hesitate to give you an answer. Mine is Umbreon. With the new shiny hunting mechanics in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I decided I wanted to challenge myself and shiny hunt not only just Eevee, but all 8 of its evolutions. Here's how I did it. My goal was to start with Evie, but I ended up getting a mass outbreak for Vaporeon first. A mass outbreak is when a bunch of the same species of Pokemon spawn in one place at the same time. The odds for finding a shiny in this game are 1 out of 4,096, but are boosted to 1 out of 1,366 in a mass outbreak. I do have the shiny charm, however, so my odds are increased to 1 out of 820. There is one more thing I can do to boost my odds though. By making a sandwich with a rare ingredient called Herba Mystica, I can boost my odds all the way to 1 out of 512. I do need to knock out 60 Pokemon in the outbreak to hit those max odds, but that's really easy to do with the Let's Go mechanic. I used my Gyarados for this since a lot of the Vaporeon were spawning in the river and I couldn't get to them. After 54 minutes of hunting, I found the first shiny Eeveelution of the challenge. Purple Vaporeon looks awesome. So awesome, in fact, that I stuck around and caught a second one. Why don't I up the challenge and try to catch at least 2 shinies of each Eeveelution? The next outbreak I got was for Evie. Eevee's shiny should be pretty easy to spot since it's kinda like a ghostly white color. Well before I was even able to knock out the 60 needed to get to max odds, I found this little pasty guy napping under a tree. You can see the moment I realize it's there because the camera snaps to center it. This only took 3 minutes to find and without an Herba Mystica sandwich. I was just really lucky. I did end up making an Herba Mystica sandwich to try to find a second one, and I did just 8 minutes later. These little dudes look great. They look like little ghosts. It makes me hopeful that we'll get a ghost type Eeveelution someday. Speaking of ghost types, the last video I posted was all about how I caught every shiny ghost type Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, so maybe check out that video after you finish this one. Just north of Medali, I was able to get a mass outbreak for Jolteon to form. The spawns here were really good. There were Jolteon everywhere. I ran around in the stormy weather knocking out 60 before whipping up another sandwich, which I had to remake because I lost a pickle, which completely changes the boost received from the sandwich. Okay, that's much better. 10 minutes into the hunt, I found my first shiny Jolteon. I had 20 minutes left on my sandwich boost, so I kept going and found another shiny literally less than 30 seconds after catching the first one. 2 shinies is pretty good, but 3 shinies is better. I found a third shiny Jolteon just 3 minutes later. If you feel a tinge of envy about my shiny luck, don't worry, it gets a lot worse later in the video. I'm not even sure what color shiny Jolteon is. Light yellow? Yellow-green? Whatever it is, I'm not really a fan. Logically, the next outbreak should be Flareon, but it wasn't. I ended up getting a Sylveon by accident. You know the drill by now. Knock out 60, make a sandwich, and wait for a shiny. It turns out I didn't have to wait very long at all because a shiny popped up just 3.5 minutes after making the sandwich. I did play it safe and save the game after finding each one of these, by the way. I was graced with a second shiny after just 19 more minutes. A third shiny tried to make a break for it right at the end of my sandwich boost, but there was no escape. This one took another 7 minutes to find. Sylveon has one of the best looking shinies, period. It's my second favorite shiny Eeveelution. Okay, now it's Flareon's turn. Flareon is one of those shinies where you have to pay close attention while hunting to spot it. You don't want to do this while watching TV or something. There's a pretty good amount of spawns here, so it's no surprise that we found the shiny after only 4 minutes. Hey, did you guys know that Wild Flareon can learn Flare Blitz? A move that deals recoil damage? Because I didn't. This is why you always save when you find a shiny. I do have to make a new sandwich though, since resetting the game ends your sandwich boost. I found a second shiny 14 minutes later, but thankfully I didn't have to reset this time. I decided to run out the clock on my sandwich boost and ended up finding one more shiny just 6 minutes later. Shiny Flareon looks like it was supposed to be a regular Flareon, but the printer just ran out of ink. I feel like a lot more could have been done here. The hunt for shiny Umbreon ended up being a huge pain in the Moonstones, if you know what I mean. It took me a long time to get the outbreak to spawn, and once I finally did, it ended up being in a cave. The outbreak appeared in an area that has multiple levels, so I have to keep going up and down to check everything. Even though the area was huge, I was getting very few spawns. I eventually realized that some of the spawns were appearing inside of these two rocks and even under this top level. Sometimes I would see Umbreon spawn and then immediately despawn because of how far away they were. Sableye was spawning like crazy as well since it's also a dark type. On top of all of this, Umbreon only spawns at night, even in an outbreak. So if the sun comes up, I just have to wait around for over half an hour to get started again. Like I said, huge pain. Almost 3 hours into this hunt, and with less than a minute and a half left on my sandwich, the shiny finally appears. This is my favorite shiny Eeveelution, but you probably guessed that since it's my favorite Eeveelution period. Oh, and I caught a second one about 30 minutes after the first. Getting a mass outbreak of Espeon to pop up was fairly easy. It showed up on a path outside of Medali between two cliffs, which made it easy to see all of the spawns. Just how like Umbreon doesn't spawn during the day, Espeon doesn't spawn at night. I pretty much wasted 11 minutes of my sandwich boost since I wasn't able to use it before nightfall. It took 50 minutes of searching before the shiny finally showed up. I caught all of these guys in a Premier Ball, by the way. 40 seconds after catching the first shiny Espeon, another pops up. I normally don't care for green shinies, but it makes Espeon look like a little alien, so I think it's pretty cool. The last two that I need to hunt are the ones I'm dreading the most. I had some trouble getting an outbreak for Leafeon to show up, and once I finally did, it was at the top left of the map, which is an area plagued by drop frames. This is what a regular Leafeon looks like. Now here's a shiny one. They are very similar. Throw in the obstacle of trees casting shadows everywhere, and you'll see why this is so difficult. I'm sure I failed a couple of these just because they're so hard to see. After over 3 hours of hunting, I spotted a Leafeon that looks slightly darker than the others. I finally found it. Now I just have to find another one. I would periodically check some of the ones that looked suspicious, but it was usually just my imagination or the lighting playing tricks on me. I even started sending out my new shiny Leafeon to compare it to the wild ones. 37 minutes after catching the first shiny, a Leafeon caught my attention that I decided to check out. I'm glad I did because that was the second shiny I needed. Despite the fact that Leafeon shiny does not look too different from a regular one, I still like it quite a bit. The darker palette looks better in my opinion. One more Eeveelution to go. A Glaceon outbreak spawned almost right away from me. While I'm grateful it was a quick search, I do wish the location was a bit better. It's literally on the side of a mountain, which makes getting around pretty difficult. Also, since all of the spawns in this area are ice types anyway, I'm seeing a lot of Pokemon other than Glaceon. Glaceon is just like Leafeon in the sense that the shiny isn't very different, so I'll be squinting at my screen the whole hunt for this one too. Only 6 minutes after making the sandwich, I somehow spot a shiny, and then the whole thing turns into a cartoon.
Nope.
I did manage to catch it though. I hope you enjoyed the lunacy. It took just 20 more minutes to find the second shiny Glaceon and the last shiny of this challenge. I feel the same way about Glaceon shiny as I do Leafeons. It's a subtle change, but overall I think it just looks better. Let's take a look at how I did overall. I caught 2 shiny Vaporeon, Evie, Umbreon, Espeon, Leafeon, and Glaceon, and 3 shiny Jolteon, Sylveon, and Flareon. That brings my total to 21 shinies over the course of approximately 7.5 hours of game time. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any nickname suggestions, drop them in the comments below. The best way to support this channel is to just subscribe and maybe share this video with a friend that's a big fan of Eevee. Until next time, my name is Trendge, and I'll see you on the next adventure.